Hello everyone. I started just a wee bit early. Hopefully you don't mind. Going to be feeding some mourning geckos today. I've got approximately 5 little geckos in here. I may have a couple more. It's hard to tell sometimes because they hide. I just sold off 5 of them the other day, but there will be enough to get a pretty good feeding response out of them here, I think. So let me switch this over to live chat. People are starting to show up. Itty bitty ladybug Lisa's in the house. Olivo Smith in the house. Nice to see you. Welcome. Oh, there's one hiding there behind the cork bark. And I can hear them chirping. I don't know if you can. But I can hear them chirping. There's Arizo's Exotics. Hello. Sharkins. Do you keep any desert hairy scorpions? Nope. I just have one scorpion. It is an Asian forest scorpion. Scorpling. It's a juvenile. And that's it at the moment. But kind of like the idea of desert hairy scorpions. I know many people keep them together with blue death fanning beetles. Any tips with mourning geckos? They're actually pretty easy. Bioactive is definitely the way to go because they look best in there and they are easiest to care for in bioactive enclosures. I would recommend lots of hiding places, and let's see, cork bark is a good one. And I would recommend, if you want to save the most babies possible, then get 2 enclosures, one for the adults to lay a bunch of eggs in, and after they've laid eggs for a couple of months, then move them into the other enclosure, let the eggs hatch in the other enclosure, and then they'll fill the other one up with eggs. That's a good way to produce a fair number of them. You can end up saving a lot of the babies if they're in with the adults, but not as many. Let's put it that way. Muppet929. Like your name, I am a Muppet fan myself. Done quite a bit of puppetry actually in my life, so hopefully that helps Arizo's Exotics. And I will be feeding these guys in just a minute. Can I make a video about the other reptile enclosures? Yeah, I can do some more. I have done a lot of reptile and amphibian enclosure videos, but I can definitely do more if there's interest, for sure. Mr. E. Finn, hello. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put some flies in here, some dusted Hydei. They've got Rapashi Calcium Plus on them. It's a little bit tricky to do this with one hand, so please pardon the wiggles here as I figure this out. Make this work. I'm going to try, I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try putting one serving of flies, so to speak, letting them eat that, and then putting in another serving. Let's see how that goes. And I see what you're saying, the reptile nerd. Yeah, to see how they've developed. And there's some I want to upgrade. This one I actually want to put some of the BioDude's BioVive in it because it's been going for a number of years now, and I think the plants are starting to slow down a little bit. So it's a fertilizer to help revive bioactive enclosures. I have some, bought it, I just haven't set it up yet. Wow, usually the geckos are going nuts by this time, which is kind of funny. I may have scared them earlier today when I wiped down the glass in preparation for this video, but I see one coming down the wall here in the corner. My whip scorpion. My whip scorpion is doing pretty well, looking fat, did not molt during the winter. Kind of bummed about that. It's molted, before, but this winter it didn't molt. I like it when they do because they get bigger. Oh, I see geckos are starting to poke around from the corners and grab flies. Here comes one. Let's see. But otherwise it's doing well. Just didn't molt. And yeah, I will see about Mr. E. Finn. We'll see if we can do some other creatures. It's fairly difficult. I'm in a different room in here and stuff, but we might do that. We'll see. I just checked on them yesterday. They were doing pretty well. So I might check out the Orthoporus ornatus. Oh, nice shot there. Now they're getting down to hunting. It's nice to see that they're, I can see, what, 3 in the shot right now? And hello, crystals, pets, and plants. Oh, one of them overshot and the fly ended up in the water dish, but I've seen them nick them right out of the water dish before. It's kind of funny. So Reptiles Nerds making a native terrarium for a school project. Cool. And Jesse Murphy, these are all juveniles. There's, I think the oldest one in this vivarium is about probably 3 months old, if that. I know how many I can see 4. And I know I have at least 5 in here. One of them's missing a large amount of its tail. Fortunately, when mourning geckos regenerate their tails, they do a pretty good job. It's hard to even tell if you're not looking super closely that they've regenerated it, which is nice. So Erisos exotics, Venus flytraps will always die prior dormancy period. That can be initiated either by dryness or by cold, preferably by cold seems to work the best. And if you do not provide them with that dormancy period, they might survive for a year or 2, but then they just die. So I would say they're not really a good candidate just because they need that dormancy period. Christopher McDaniel, hi from Cheyenne Geckos. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, Sharkbot. And these don't get very big. I mean, my case is getting in the way. Oh, one of them decided to take a little dip in the water dish. I don't know if she meant to, but she did. They get to about 4 inches, including the tail. Whoa, that was interesting. Approximately 3.5 to 4 inches, including the tail. Not very big at all. And thank you. I think they do look cool. They're fun little geckos. So do I have flame leg millipedes? I don't at the moment. I have before. I've bred them a couple of times, in fact, and some of the ones circulating out there in the hobby are descendants of the ones I had. But I don't have any currently. I'm going to see if I can get a little closer without scaring them. Sometimes they don't like it when I get too close with the camera. Seem to be camera shy sometimes. It's probably just the movement. Oh, that was a really good jump there after that fly. Hopefully you all saw that. Okay, so Matt M. Have you made any modifications to your mourning gecko enclosures to make them escape proof? Yeah, this one you can kind of tell it's been siliconed along the edges here. That's one modification I made. It's actually coming loose right there. I need to redo that. But silicone along the edges of the doors helps make it so that the babies can't escape, because otherwise they can. When they're really small, they just can slip right out. Whoa, sorry, I just changed the settings and then fixed it. Okay, so I've also put paper towels in the back of the enclosure. Let me see if I can, probably can't. But I'm gonna try to show you what I mean. Back here. Oh, you can kind of see it. They've got some plants that are sticking out right through the mesh. They're paper towels that were wet when I put them in there, and they've now dried in the little the little inlets for the cords, little gaps that are there on purpose. That's a good way to keep the babies from climbing out there, because otherwise they can. And they did before I figured that out. So that before I put those out of the way. Sorry. So Crystal's Pets and Plants says Venus flytraps. They're very cool plants. I've kept them before, but like I say, they need that dormancy if they're going to last a long time. And any king baboon tarantulas? Actually, I don't have any tarantulas at all. Not a one. There is, my wife has asked me to avoid keeping tarantulas, and I honor that. So I don't have any. Closest I can come is that I have babysat a tarantula once. for a couple of weeks, and she was okay with that. It was her sister's tarantula. But other than that. Angus McDougall, hello. Heather Jensen, love that Ficus pumila quercifolia, one of my favorites. Shame it isn't more commercially available. If you do find it, it's $8 for a 2-inch pot. You know, there's a place near me that actually sells it for pretty cheap. Oh, there's one on the hunt. I don't remember the exact price, but I think it's cheaper than that because they sell the big pots. But I haven't been there in a while. But yeah, it's not that easy to find. Yeah, the Venus flytraps have some pretty specific requirements. I've found that if you keep them outside where they can get a lot of sun, you have to acclimate them to the sun if they haven't been in it. But keep them outside where they can get a lot of sun, and they need distilled water or rainwater, some kind of RO water, something like that, water without any minerals in it at all. And of course the potting medium needs to be something like sphagnum moss, an acidic thing like that. And then if you leave them outside until about Halloween, typically they'll start going dormant on their own unless you live in a climate where it's too warm to do that. And then you can cut off the part of the plant that's above ground and then put it in the fridge and leave it there over the winter in a bag. And then take it out in the spring, put it outside in March, and it'll start doing its thing. It's kind of cool. And Vidal, I hope I said that right. Yeah, it's great to do your research, so I'm glad you're doing your research before you get some. But they're pretty simple to keep and pretty cool. How many isopods do I have, Angus? I have thousands of individual isopods. As far as types go, about 30-something odd types, and that includes morphs, but quite a few species in there. Probably something around 20 different species and a lot of morphs, so 30-something, maybe 35, not sure. All right. So, let's see. Connor Kennedy. There's a place near me that has some twice a year. eBay. Ah, there you go. Maybe eBay's a good place to get them. Oh, Heather Jensen. Frog in a blender for the Caladium cultivar name. That is an evocative name, if not exactly a pleasant one. And Crystal, congrats on getting some clown isopods. They are awesome. They're one of the most beautiful, in my opinion. They're not one of the most active, but definitely one of the most beautiful. All right, so Mr. E. Finn, I will, we can check out the Orthoporus ornatus in a little while. We can do that. Let's just watch these guys hunt for a little bit longer, and then we'll check out the Orthoporus ornatus. Shark, but I want rubber duck isopods, but they're very expensive. They are indeed ridiculously expensive. Hopefully, with more captive breeding efforts, we'll get them down in price eventually. So Matt M., I've heard these geckos make sounds. I'm curious how loud it is, like if the enclosure is in a bedroom. The enclosure is, actually, I've got 3 mourning gecko enclosures in our bedroom here. This is in our bedroom. This is right by my bed. This is about a foot and a half from my head when I'm asleep. And it doesn't bother me. If I'm awake, I sometimes hear it at night, but it doesn't bother me. It's not loud enough to bother me. And if I'm asleep, it doesn't wake me up. So there you go. White tree frogs, I do know those, but they seem pretty cool. So, all right. I think what we're going to do now, it's been almost 15 minutes. We're going to go look at some millipedes in just a second. Crystal, I do want some Capensis, pretty cool plant. Chameleon, I think that would be cool. My daughter really wants a Gemma. Good to see you here. Okay. Oh, the coquille. So you have the coquille where you're from, huh? Okay, just a second, folks. I'm going to switch the camera around, and we're going to go look at a few millipedes. Okay, here we go. We're going to take out the Orthoporus ornatus, and we're going to take out the ivories. We'll take a look at both of them, see how it goes. So just a second while I get that ready. And here we are. Okay, I'm going to switch this Change the lighting around. Okay. Yeah, and I just love the way the Panthers look too. There's so many beautiful color variations on the Panthers. The Rhesus exotic, 60 chameleon eggs, nice. And Gemma, you have big isopods in your enclosure, awesome. That is very cool. Looks like this just got watered. My daughter waters all the inverts for me. Well, not all of them, some of them. Well, congratulations on the baby isopods, Gemma. And my Solomon seal has put out leaves, but the gecko knocked them over. I think I'm gonna have to move it. It put out a huge bunch of shoots, like 3 or 4 shoots, some of which were pretty long. Maybe we can take a glance at it if we have a chance. But then the gecko knocked them over, so I'm gonna have to do something about that. Probably move it, I guess, to something that's not gonna knock it over so much. Vampire crabs, that's one I would love to do, but I don't have that species. But I would like to have that species sometime. Well, I shouldn't say species because Geosarma is a genus with various species in it. But vampire crabs are really cool. Part of what attracts me to them is that they can live out their full life cycle and be captive bred in a paludarium. Very cool from my standpoint. I think that's really cool. And another thing is they're so brightly colored, and you basically keep them almost like dart frogs. So super cool. I would love to try that sometime. You know, back in the day, years and years ago, I kept land hermit crabs, and I think they're fascinating, but they're hard to breed in captivity, and very few people have succeeded in breeding them in captivity, and they're wild collected in huge numbers, and I don't really think that's very cool. So I haven't kept those for years, but the vampire crabs I would do because you can captive breed them, and I, of course, would do so. I love the fact that they can live in such beautifully mossy paludaria. And there's another one kicking around over here. Pretty good number of them in here. And let's see. So centipede is still in brumation. So I can't take the centipede out, but I will, we can take a look at the dart frogs though. I mean, not the dart frogs, the ivory millipedes. I'm gonna get the ivory millipedes out. Oh, there's my thumb. I hope you enjoy, or my hand anyway. A view of my hand, sorry. While I'm trying to do this. I'm gonna take a look, see what we have in terms of ivory millipedes. There we go. So, Gemma, speaking of dart frogs, are you going to breed yours again? And if so, are you able to ship to New Jersey? Well, the dart frogs, I just sort of let the frogs produce when they produce. I don't really try to breed them that often, but I might have to do that because I guess I should start getting them going again. I hear the male calling quite frequently, so, and if I do, I think I should be able to ship to New Jersey. So, Grayson Rodriguez, hello. We did a feeding of the mourning geckos, and then we looked at the Orthoporus ornatus, and then now we're looking at the ivory millipedes. There's a young male there. You can see his enlarged saddle. Another male, the one he's right behind, and then a group of larger females here. Those 2 males are not mature yet. They might, well, not quite mature. They might be old enough to breed, but so they're on the younger side of mature males. They'll get bigger. And so Jay's crazy obsessions. Can you have too many isopods in one container? Yeah, eventually you can if they're not getting enough food. And some signs are that few, if any, of the adults are reaching their maximum size. And then you can see your reduced numbers of munci showing up and stuff. You can have hundreds in a 6-quart container for most species, as long as the substrate is still in good shape. But you can get to a point where you have too many. It is possible. So Heather Jensen, what do you think if you bred the different ivory color morphs together? I don't know. Good question. I have no idea if those traits are simple single gene recessive Mendelian traits or if there are other things going on. I don't even know. It's a good question. So it would be interesting to see what happened. But yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, Grayson, you're getting a bunch of isopods soon. That's awesome. Okay, Gemma. Well, I will keep that in mind for sure. Um, I will let you know on the channel here if I get some more tadpoles soon. Like I said, I haven't been trying to breed them intensively, but if I find tadpoles, I do pull them and try to raise them. So if I were to step that up, I'm sure I could get a lot more tadpoles. I have mine in a 41 quart container, and I believe that may be overpopulated. How do I go about fixing that issue? Depends on the species, but the easiest way to do it, in my opinion, is to get another container of the same size, if you can, and split the substrate in half and replace the other half with fresh substrate, and then you have two cultures that are exactly half as crowded as the original. So that's not a bad way to do it. So Heather Jensen, your isopods have been going nuts over orange. Really interesting. I haven't tried that. I've been a little concerned about possible pesticide contamination. Is the issue that I have been concerned about. But if it's working for you, that's awesome. And Paraplaneta Missionary, do you have bumblebee millipedes? I do. Yep. I might even be able to show you some. I have to go across through them. I don't know. They're not nearly as active as either of these, Orthoporus or Chicobolus. So there's no guarantee we'll see anything because it's not the daytime. I mean, it is the daytime. So we may not see any, but I could try. Let's see what we get. Oh, sorry, there are too many things in this room. And gonna see. I replaced the substrate for these guys about, well, it says it's been about a month. So we may not see anything because they're all in their fresh substrate digging around. That's possible, but let's see what we can find. Okay, sorry, I know the screen is so exciting like that. Let's see, well, there's a baby one. Not much color to it yet. Some fungus gnats. Let's see. You don't really want to dig in a millipede enclosure much. That's bad news. But I can move the top of the substrate around a little bit, just to like move the sphagnum moths around and see. Nope, that's it. That's all that's showing up right now. It's just this little tiny baby bumblebee millipede. Oh, there's a little bit of moldy food. I'm gonna take that out. Don't need that in there. See, the springtails are going well, and you can see from the surface there's a lot of millipede frass, in other words millipede waste on the surface. There's a fungus gnat right there. Where'd it go? So that means that the I can probably safely get this one out because it's already so close to the surface. There's one. Do love that color. Check it out. So it's too bad they're not bigger. If they were bigger, they'd be super popular because they're beautiful millipedes. Okay, Salvatore Russo. Love your videos. Saw the title and actually had a weird question about the mourning geckos. Could I email you? I don't want to sound dumb here. You're welcome to email it. Yep, you can go to my email is info@aquariumax.com, and you can do that. I probably said that out loud. That's probably not the greatest thing for me to do. I usually just direct to people on my contact page, but I think it'll be okay. Go ahead and email me. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you'll sound dumb, but why don't you go ahead and email me? Okay, so Jace craves the obsessions. Yeah, I'm not sure which ones we got you either. It's for a ball python enclosure, so there are quite a few species that could be suitable for that. So I'm not sure which one we did. But if you send me a picture, totally be happy to help you out. So Paraplaneta Missionary, you mean the wild bumblebee millipedes? Are bigger? Yeah, how big do they get out there in the wild? Mine top out at about 2.5 inches. And Gemma says, Love the bumblebees. They're the ones that first got me interested in millipedes and got me wanting them. Yeah, they were they my second species? I don't remember if they were or not, which species they were, but were one of my earlier ones that I got quite a while ago. Mr. Efin, want to breed scarlet millipedes. Got two, but they were both males. Ah, that does put a bit of a damper on things. Harder to breed when you don't have a pair. I collected some scarlet millipedes in bumblebees, and the bumblebees eventually outcompeted scarlets. So, okay. I've seen a 3-inch one. It was an old one with vivid colors. Nice. And Grayson Rodriguez, do you have a video on the bumblebee? I have a video called The Basics of Breeding Millipedes that goes into some depth with the bumblebee millipedes. So that might not be a bad one to see. And I think I got your questions, Jay's Crazy Obsessions. I'm pretty sure I covered everything. By the way, the Super Red, I named him Super Ed. The Super Red is doing well. And with my goldfish. And let's see, Mads Taylor, can you cohabitate dairy cows and powder oranges? Good question. Not my first choice. Let's put it that way. For one, I think the Porcellonidae sprenosus, the powdered oranges, prefer a little bit more ventilation and a little bit drier conditions than the dairy cows. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I'm saying that I think they prefer slightly different conditions. And I also think because they're both very vigorous feeders and breeders, that they'll outcompete one another at some point. It's hard to say which one would win and when it would happen. It might be a year and a half before it happened, but I think one of them would outcompete the other at some point. So that would be my take on the matter. I could be wrong, but for example, I put powder blues with zebras a few years ago in a leopard gecko enclosure to see which species would work out. Hopefully both of them, but I had suspicions that one of them would do better than the other. For a year and a half, they coexisted, and then the powder blues outcompeted the zebras, and they died off in there. And so it happens, and it might not be immediate, but it does happen. And so I would, recommend against it for that reason. Let's see what we got here. These are the powdered oranges, and they're going nuts, as one would fully expect them to do. So Jay's Crazy Obsessions. I was literally thinking about your goldfish tank earlier this week. That's friggin' awesome. You made my day. Just wondering what her name will be if she ends up being female. Ah, that's a good question. I'll have to name her Super Edwina or something. I don't know. Look at these guys. These are go to town. They eat a lot. They breed quickly. And they're very active, even in the daytime, which I love about them. Activity levels in isopods is something that people don't often consider. But you can be really entertained by just really simple isopods as long as they're active. And the ones that you never see, even if they look cool, they're just not as fun because you never see them. I mean, not that it's not cool to have them, but it's different, if you know what I mean. All right, well, how many species did we see? We saw 3 different species of millipede, 1 species of isopod, and we got mourning geckos, and the fruit flies they were eating, so that's a decent number of species. Oh, Grayson, you got powdered orange instead of powdered blues when that's what you ordered. That's kind of fun. Because I love the powdered oranges. The powdered blues are cool too, but they're the wild type, and it's fun to have the color. I actually have 4 different color varieties of these: powder orange, powder blue, whiteouts, and then I've got the morph that I'm working on, which may or may not be the same as the Oreo crumbles, but it's a cool one with just random non-pigmented patches. So, Crystal, both of your ivory millipedes are female. Well, if they're adults, they may still produce for you because they may have already mated. So let's hope so. That would be cool if you can get some babies out of them anyway. If you don't have a male with a saddle, the saddles are pretty easy to see. So if they're mature, and they're easy to sex pretty young, so if you don't see a male with a saddle, it could very well be you have both females. But hopefully they've already mated, especially if they're, I mean, if they grew up in a communal group of millipedes and they are already mature, then it's pretty likely. All right, so I wish you the best with that, Crystal, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, and everybody stay safe and stay healthy during the quarantine, and catch me on Friday. See you later.